Hey, we're back with the Burning Wheel. And Sergio is having serious moral dilemmas.
Yep.
But he's taking a step in the right direction now. He's taking the bone that is offered to him to meet with his brother, and not try to kill him. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna kill him in the first place.
Right, or let anyone else kill him or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean. I think we probably just open on that meeting with your brother. So where I think you're brought by some guards, right? Like you go you're directed to go by Ipina. So Ipina like tells you this like off screen, like, hey, go meet him, go meet him at his private quarters. And she gives you kind of directions to where they are. So you walk up there, but then when you're about halfway there, and it's like in a tower in another part of the palace, kind of like a ways off, like a corner. And so you're about halfway up the tower, and then guards like meet you, and then they kind of they're real close to you as you, like, one of them is behind you, one of them is in front of you as you're like led up the stairs. And they have their hands on their swords, even like they're real tense about this. And you're not sure if it's just the guards, that just are tense about the situation, or if like Elon has told them, hey, like, be this way, like he might try something or whatever. But like, yeah, they're real tense about it. So yeah, you're led up to the quarters. And I mean, you've been here before. This was your private quarters before. And so they open the door and let you in. And there's like a fireplace and like a big like reading chair like in front of the fireplace, and there's like a table and some chairs, and there's like 6 or 7 like shelves lining the walls, full of books on like theology and stuff like that. It's like a chandelier, a nice chandelier, like kind of hanging over things with a bunch of lit candles, and maps and charts and things, and like holy text strewn across the table. And in classic villain fashion, your brother is sitting in the in the like lounge chair, facing towards the fire away from you.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Does he have a cat
No, he's
sitting on his lap? Oh, okay.
No.
Well, brother Elon, it's good to finally meet with you. Don't know why you've been shunning me my entire visit here, but
You say with heavy emphasis. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't answer right away. Again, in classic villain fashion.
mm-hmm.
Do you say anything else, or do you just let the silence hang?
Uh, Probably say something like, well, the job's a little harder than you thought it would be, isn't it? Like,
Do you say that with a laugh, or do you?
yeah, a little snide remark there.
Yeah. So he stands up, and like, you notice even now that like even since you've seen him last, he looks more worn and weary. Even just like not even seeing his face yet, like he seems even more hunched over. And he turns around and like looks you square in the face, and it's actually funny. I'm just realizing because he's played by I'll show you his picture. He's played by Ian McKellen.
Oh,
And you're played by Viggo Mortensen. So this is Gandalf and Aragorn as brothers. So that's a thing.
wow. Okay.
I didn't actually realize that until now. But yeah, so he looks at you in the face, and like has this just dark look in his eyes, and he just says, "Why are you here, brother?" And that's the first time he's called you brother since you were here. He called you like partner and really indifferent sort of things. But the thing is, like, he doesn't say brother with an actual like sort of sense of any sense of brotherly affection in any sense of the word. He says it almost with like spite.
Of course. Okay, I didn't think this through. So,
Yeah, one-on-one burning wheel sessions tend to be a little bit more intense.
yeah. Hmm. I mean, there's a part of me that would want to just warn him of the coup and say step down. There's a part of me that wouldn't want to mention it and then, like, I don't know. I don't know. All right, we'll start with like me. Well, first of all, I just wanted to see you. I mean, it's been 20 years now, more than 20 years. I finally come back to visit, and I haven't been able to see you for months.
I haven't wanted to see you.
Oh, well, that hurt.
Don't act like everything's okay, Sergio. Don't act like we're brothers just having a good laugh together. Things are more serious now than back then.
Yes, yes, they are. Which is also why I've come to talk to you. You know that the church has grown far too big for its own good. There's been quite a few abuses going on that I've found out through my travels with your inquisitors.
Have you now? Please, enlighten me.
Specifics like the Middle Easty thingy and insert random
You just spew it all out. He listens to you with like a cold expression.
The city's starving around them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he says, "You don't think I'm aware of this? You don't think I'm aware of the way that this country is falling apart around my ears? Everything is going to hell. The devil has his foothold here, and there's not much we're going to be able to do to stop it."
I mean, as Pope, there should be quite a few things you can do to stop it, unless there's something I'm unaware of. Has the power system changed since I left?
He doesn't answer that question.
Is there something I should know about? How can I help you?
How can you help me? Why were you talking to Ipina?
Because it was the only way to get to you.
Well, now you have me. Never talk to her again.
Oh, I mean, she is my niece. I don't see.
I don't care. Never talk to her again.
Okay.
Do you say it like that? Like real awkwardly?
I mean, if that's what you want.
It is. that's a way you can help me, Sergio.
Is that all you need? That this doesn't quite address the whole church issue?
What would you have me do, Sergio? How would you have me fix this problem? Half of the city is against us, against any sort of doctrine. They're blindly following fools into the depths of the abyss. What am I supposed to do with this? With this reckless hate, this reckless heresy?
I mean, well, does he know about what we've been doing to try and stop him?
Not in real detail. Not as far as you know, at least. Like, I mean, he's. I'm sure you know. You at least suspect he's just as involved in politics and spying and those sorts of things as Vada is. But I don't think like he's not directly. The Inquisition is a separate entity to the main body of the church in a lot of ways. So, especially the Crow Inquisitors, they're almost a thing that the Pope never really has any say or talks, any say in or talks about or knows anything about.
Okay. We'll probably tell him about that, actually.
What do you say?
Like, I mean, if you aren't aware, I've actually been working with my group of Inquisitors to take down the cult from the inside. They're planning on putting together their final actions I guess I don't know when it is today, but whenever it happened, it was supposed to happen.
Right. And I think it's I think it's probably today. Like, I think this meeting is in the morning. It's kind of like early in the morning. So this was like the next day from when you were talking to Ipana. And I think this is the day that it's supposed to happen. So it's supposed to happen at like noon, but I don't know if you know the details of that particularly, but you know, it's supposed to happen today at least sometime.
Okay. So yeah. And then, but beyond that, we should diagnose why this cult was able to take such a foothold in the city. At least, in my eyes, it's because of it's a reaction. It's a reaction against.
And his eyes grow more and more dangerous the more you keep talking. Like, oh, you better be very careful about what you say next.
So yeah, I mean, that was the end of the thought there.
Okay.
But
yeah, I think he's waiting for you to say something like directly against him. He's waiting for you to say it's your fault, like you're a bad pope.
No,
but when you don't, well, that's the thing. He doesn't say it, but like, so he's waiting for that, and then when you don't say it, he's like, "There's evil in this country, Sergio. There's an evil that I have not been able to root out in my 20 years working in this office. God grows more distant every time I draw my hands together. Every time I utter a prayer, he grows farther away. I'm losing hope, Sergio. And you know what happens to a man who loses hope? He grows desperate."
wait,
I have tried many things to weed out this cult, to get them to see the light, to convert them, to bring them back into the fold. I have tried reforms. Nothing has worked. This current abomination is merely the greatest example, the most violent example of this type of heresy and rampant unorthodox behavior in this country. Ever since you... And he starts to say, and I think you know he was about to say ever since you left, but he's like, oh, wait a second, I cannot say that. It's been a long time in coming.
Okay, side note, was that a figurative thing or was that a literal thing of like because the lore of like what was it? What did we call him? Like preservation or not? No,
The creator
the
and the
god
destroyer,
thing, like
chaos and
leaving.
perfection.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have different names. Yep,
is that like affecting the
for
how
sure,
they pray and stuff
for
or
sure. Yeah,
what? Huh.
in canon, yes, but I
Okay.
mean you wouldn't know that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
yeah, and I think he says, "I ask you
Wait.
against."
So is he just talking about the dreamer cult here, or is there a different?
Well, okay, so I mean, I think you've heard rumors about the way things have been handled, or the way things have been going in this country for a while now. More and more heresies and unorthodox sorts of things have been springing up all over the place. And I mean, that's one of the things that like the Crow Inquisitors did the first session or the first arc of the campaign. You know, they were tracking down those
Mhm.
cults, and that's a very common thing that was happening for a while now. Is all these cults springing up, and the Inquisitors having to go and stamp it out, and it just doesn't ever seem to go away. And this whole winter thing happening, like the Dreamer making this new religion or whatever, it didn't really come out of nowhere in that sense. Like obviously he did, but like the
Mhm.
people have been looking for something else to believe in for a long time,
Mhm.
and they're very willing to grab on to those things that they feel will serve them better than this antiquated religion that doesn't seem to be getting anywhere, and that seems to be controlling their lives in very very legalistic ways that they don't like. Um,
Mhm.
and so yeah, like he just kind of explains that to you. And I mean, you've heard rumors of it, but I don't know if you necessarily knew exactly how bad it was. But from the sounds of what your brother's saying, like it's really bad, um, at least in his eyes. So yeah, I mean, I think he asks you, Sergio, what? Give me any sort of advice here, please. And it's almost sarcastic, but like he's like, just like I'm open to suggestions. Enlighten me with your
Well,
grand new knowledge from Techo.
I mean, the main thing I was going to suggest, as you've noticed, this is all a reaction to throw off the church, but it's not necessarily a it's not that the people are going deliberately against the doctrine. It's more has it seems to me that it has to do with the economic state of Lucerta. So we need to show compassion to the people with um I mean okay, wordings. Um using words to do things.
That is a viable option.
Do other things with other words.
And again, you don't have to necessarily like say it exactly as Sergio would say it. Feel free to
Yeah, so like
to continue to paraphrase.
suggesting a more I'm assuming there's also a problem with information
Oh, for sure.
like
Yeah.
being locked away in
Yep.
the
Yep. It's I
only
mean
the
this religion is very much medieval Catholic Church in the sense that like the Bible is only translated in one language. No one is
Mhm,
allowed to read it or interpret it except the priests, stuff like that. So,
mhm. So yeah, something like the people are they don't understand it, so they're looking for something else that they can understand. So what we need to work on is education and um, a free exchange of the information and like releasing the holy texts in free format, and then yeah, like downsizing the church. It's too rich for its own good. It's being abused by certain bishops. It's
all grand suggestions. How do you suppose we fix those? How do you suppose we actually enact those changes? I'm dealing with an entire, multiple generations worth of institution here, Sergio. I can't just change policy overnight and expect everyone to just dandily go along with it and prance down a lane proclaiming my goodness.
Of course not, but it's something we'd work towards in steps. However, I have seen... Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he says,
could start with the... Yeah.
one of the main problems, Sergio, with all of this is that what you say, even if it sounds logically correct, it sounds more like new theology, new doctrine, more than following tradition. And you know how much the church has to follow tradition. The bishops.
Wait, what's new theology?
So like, I mean, you're coming back with all this techo philosophy and all that stuff, and he knows it, and it, not necessarily that you said whatever you said there, you know, with the whole like release it to the public and stuff like that is necessarily just new in and of itself, but like he's interpreting it as such because of your. It's like that whole thing where it's like you went away to another country and learned a bunch of new stuff, and you're coming back and saying, "Hey guys, we got to do things differently." It's like, "Oh, all right, you're better than everybody, and you found this new thing," and kind of a thing. And so that's kind of spilling over, yeah. And even if your suggestions are completely logically correct and all that stuff, yeah, he points out, he's like, people won't go along with that willingly, and to be completely honest, Sergio, I don't either. We moved away from we moved away from the Tekoni practice of this religion because they got it wrong, because they did not fully understand how complex and deep the great God and all of these complexities in his great plan were. There was more there, and the ancient texts that I'm sure that you hold so dear, and so many of our church members do as well, they aren't right. There's more there that had to be uncovered, and we, as the high priest, and he's not talking about you necessarily, he's talking about the high priest, like him and all the high priests who've come before him. You know, we are charged with that growth of knowledge, and that keeping of the truth, and the discovery of actual doctrine, and then the preservation of that said doctrine. And he's not necessarily suggesting that there is any new doctrine at this point to be found, but that the old stuff wasn't quite right. We've perfected it now. Now we have to preserve that perfection.
Okay, then we just need to do a better job of explaining that to the people and letting them do their own study on the texts. And
Sergio.
And that also doesn't address the economic problems.
Do you realize what would happen if we just printed, or if we just scribed the ancient holy texts and all of the books on doctrine and theology and just gave them to the people? Do you realize how quickly doctrine would die? How many interpretations the people would have? They're already profoundly heretical in most of the things that they believe. If we do not take a stand with the truth that we know to be true, and we give the text to them and just say, learn it for yourself, understand what it says on your own, they won't get it right. It took us 300 years to perfect it as it is. Besides, the original language must be preserved as well. Serrano language has evolved quite a bit since the original texts were translated, and the original Tekoni in and of itself, we can't just translate it into the vernacular and expect everyone to just understand what it's supposed to mean. That's why we need the priests in the first place. We have to have interpreters who, with right doctrine, under the guidance of a high priest, can interpret it correctly.
but I mean, that wasn't like
Give me any guarantee, Sergio, that the people will just fall on their knees and start worshiping God again because we decide to give them these texts. What if they find something they don't like in those texts and they decide, well, since you gave it to us, I guess this means this instead, and they make their own religion. It's just another wave of heresy, except in the guise of true religion.
so. Is it heresy when a theologian finds a new belief which is then added to the system? I guess if there's
And I think he says, and like
yeah.
obviously us as the audience, when we hear this sentence, it sounds so regressive. But he says, there are no new truths. These truths are as they are, and they will not change. And if we and any addition to them is only any addition to them at this point is heresy. We've perfected it. We've perfected the theology. Yes, of course, there will be nuances that we don't quite understand yet, and we'll continue to discuss. But the main things are there, and we don't need new discoveries. We don't need any sort of new wave of understanding of these ancient texts.
It's generally a dangerous thing to claim perfection when one is not a steward.
Where do you think we got these
And
doctrines from in the first place? Do you think that I'm not claiming that the theologians of the past perfected it, Sergio. Even you know that. The stewards guided our pens. The great God himself guided this effort. And it is now, as he grows distant, that we must stand firm in these truths and stay firm with the doctrine. And this is the thing, like, the doctrine itself has points in it, like, passed down from the different high priests, adding to the various, like, traditional doctrines of the Serrano Church, that, like, the priests are the people to interpret this, and the priests only. And the people should not have the texts themselves.
Wait,
that's
actually
actually in the doctrine, yeah.
Like it's in the texts themselves?
No, it's not in the ancient Taconi text. It's not in the original stuff. It's in the stuff that the high priests have added over the years. But it's the official church doctrine. So.
Well, I mean, that's
well, that's dumb.
The issue, isn't it? Something needs to change, so otherwise we will just continue down this path.
You don't see it all, do you, Sergio? This isn't about reform in the classical sense. This is about finding God's will and doing it. There's obviously something at work here that we aren't seeing, and it isn't changing fundamental doctrines that we've been practicing for years. If that was the answer, it wouldn't have worked in the first place.
Then what would you suggest? You seem to be out of ideas. Here's what I come with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he says, I'm bringing the Holy Knights back. We're just going to kill them. We're making a show of force.
The people of Lucerta? Or you can't...
The heretics. Right now the heretics are all gathered in the Wharf District. There's a meeting happening did you mention that to him? Right? Or did you mention the
Yeah.
details of that? Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember. Yeah, he says,
Or I
this
don't know
meeting that you
what to
mentioned.
do.
Yes, I knew about that already. I'm going to send the Holy Knights in, as was mandated by God's commission for them in the first place, and they are going to spread law and order through the sword if necessary. We're going to weed out this heresy by cutting off its head, bringing the head of the dreamer to me, and finally placing this city under martial law, bringing the law and order by the sword if necessary. The people have been given far too much leisure as it is. You say that they should be given more. That's not the way. They must be shown truth, even if it means they die for it. Most will follow, I'm sure of this. Most will see the light. But the people who are fanatical, who may be under the influence of spirits, they will try to fight, and they will die.
Over tightening the noose causes it to snap.
Nice, that's a great line. We're all hanged anyway. And he like turns away from you.
No. Okay.
And like if you don't say anything right away, he turns away to like the fire or whatever, and he's like gazing into it. And I think we get like a shot of him, and like this fire is like flickering on, and you kind of like see the glare of the fire kind of flickering on his face. And he just has this really dark look in his eyes, and he's just staring at the fire, and he says really quietly, and you barely hear it, but you do hear it. They're coming, Sergio. They're coming, Sergio. I can see it. I can feel it. They're almost here. He is almost here.
Who dat?
The devil. The devil himself. The dragon. He rides on silver wings. He comes with fire. He comes with steel. He will kill us all. As the great god grows distant, he draws ever nearer. And it's almost like the ramblings of a madman now.
Okay, yeah, he'd probably dismiss it as
Yeah, like the stress getting to him or something.
He
Yeah.
lost his mind now.
Yep. Make an aura reading check for me, Trev.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to do that.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely something here that you might notice, like that's really important. So,
is there an ob?
let me look. Yeah, there will definitely will be. Because there's different things that you can do with the different obs. So, aura reading. Ob 4.
4. Oh, I only have 3. I guess it's automatically open-ended, but
It is, yeah.
there's a small chance. Oh,
Oof,
nope.
no 6s. Yeah, so I think we see this like look in Elon's eyes that like something's not right there. And that like he's like he turns back to you, and that's what is kind of initiating this roll. Mark that challenging test, by the way. But yeah, like you see this flicker in his eyes, and you just don't understand what it means. Like you're just like, oh, something's wrong here. But like your R reading fails you, and that's the thing. Like your eyes actually kind of glow because you're doing R reading. But I think he's he's in his own little world, and so like he looks at you and then kind of like looks away. And so yeah, your eyes glow kind of like momentarily, but then they fade, and so he doesn't even notice. Um, but yeah, I mean he you sense there's something off, but you're not sure what.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, um, I guess it's turn to leave. I'll be praying for you, brother.
He does not answer that.
Because I mean, if he's not willing to work,
See, this is the thing though, Trev. Like you, I mean, I've been playing him as very, very reluctant and stuff like that, but you haven't actually put a role behind any of these words. If you want to, you can make one final push and just say, "I want to try to persuade him of something." Set it, make an intent, set an ob.
oh, I thought we were okay. I thought you just let me know when.
Well, I mean, again, like it's not impossible.
Gotcha.
The thing here is just going to be intent, right? Like I'm not gonna. It's the impossible role would be to get him to try reform and like work with you to do this, but you can try to persuade him of a smaller piece of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not willing to just headlong just go like, yeah, let's do this, but you could do something at least. What would you want to try to convince him of? Or rather, I guess persuasion. If you're using persuasion, is trying to get something to do something to get someone to do something because it's in their best interest.
Well, perhaps we could say, I mean, at least don't bring back the knights. Keep them out because anything else that you do here is the people are just going to push back even harder.
Okay, so you
So
want to try to convince him that like you shouldn't just send them in there to just slaughter everybody, like
yeah, and perhaps that would it seems to show a weakness if you have to bring in outside help.
sure, sure. Okay.
That,
What do you want him to do with them instead, though? Because they're like basically here already, like almost.
oh, are they?
They're not like actually like they're coming. They're like about a
Yeah,
mile or two
like if
away
they've
from the
gone all
city at this
the way.
point.
um, have them circle the city and then pray really hard and shoot beams of light up into the sky and then unite the people under the banner of love.
A rainbow like goes across the street. No.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess if they're already here, then that becomes a logistics problem. Mm,
He has to do something with them.
I mean, where do they normally? So they just stay in the Middle Eastern land essentially the whole time.
Well, like there's various monasteries and stuff like that up there where they can train and stuff like that, and then like on the borders of the region. But then yeah, they send a lot of forays in there. Some to I mean just to make create law and order, to enforce the church's will, to go slaughter people when the church feels like it, and again like try to convert people more or less by the sword, because they're all the people up there are all considered savages basically, mainly because they worship a different god. But
How about bring them in, but use them for peaceful work? Hand out food.
Okay.
Traits? No, like I don't know. Don't focus on military might of it.
The thing is, he's bringing an army basically into the city, and he can't
Yeah,
stop that at this point.
yeah,
He's gonna have to do something with them, and they were all told, "Hey, there are heretics to kill. Come here and help me
yeah.
with that."
True.
So, is there anything else maybe that you want to try to convince him to do besides?
I mean, I don't know what I can. He seems pretty reluctant to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Nope. I mean,
Just leave. You're just like, all right, peace. I'm out. You cannot be reasoned with.
yeah. Okay. Um.
So what's like Sergio's plan now?
hmm.
What is he gonna try to do?
I mean, so stopping the knights from coming would be one of the things
Mm-hmm.
somehow, but so I guess you have to go through with the deposing.
Again, like I don't want to just I don't want to just
Uh,
like stall you completely here in trying to convince him of something because that I don't want to railroad this in there. Like he's
yeah.
very depressed and in a really dark place, but like you can do something. There's definitely something you can try. Like you could try to convince him of a piece of what you said. Or get him to try to do something related to what you said, but he's not going to go along with a complete reform of the church, or to try to get the Holy Knights to just leave and go back to the to the north. You're going to have to try to convince him of something in an increment.
Well, I don't know what I said then. Like,
You could try to convince him of one piece of the reform. So like trying to uh getting handing out the holy text to all the people, or um what was your other point? Um,
economic
right,
downsizing.
to be enforce the church not taking a bunch of taxes from people and not living luxuriously. You could
More
try to convince
charity.
him of one and do charity instead. Those are pieces that you might be able to convince him of.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll start with the try to convince them of a more charitable approach to the people as far as they need comfort and stability in this time, and
For
the
sure.
church needs to at least show that.
Okay. Yeah, that's legit. Um,
Yeah.
let me see here. So you got a persuasion of 5. So are you just kind of straight persuading him? Is there any forks happening here? Um, What do you think?
Probably forks with doctrine and philosophy. This is the church's role,
Sure.
and would help with public perception also.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe fork
Mm-hmm.
strategy in there.
Let me look at strategy real quick. I was just looking at
Or
that
is
too.
strategy not like...
I don't know. I'm gonna read the. I'm gonna figure out what the description is of here.
Okay.
Strategy is used to guide armies through war. Yeah, it's specifically that. So
Oh,
I don't know how you got that skill.
yeah, well, that was one of the things I could take as
Oh, for
thinker, so...
thinker, yeah. So I guess you just studied war strategy in the monastery.
Alright,
Okay. I mean, that's actually kind of
yeah.
interesting. That kind of tells me a bit about what the monastery was like.
Hmm.
Interesting. I feel like it was definitely sort of like this is like a lot of like this is the way to strategize in a war to have the least amount of harm done to people involved in the war, to not have to do collateral damage and harm civilians, like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
To make the most peaceable war. And probably a lot of like art of war sort of Sun Tzu things probably too, because you were, you know, an oriental sort of country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Um, yeah, I will just philosophy and doctrine then.
Okay.
What's the ob?
The up is going to be his will, which is
Hmm.
unfortunately really high. He has an 8 will.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And like I didn't just arbitrarily put that up. Like he has so many life paths, so he has a lot of
Hmm.
stuff to call on. He's very physically weak, but he has a crap ton of mental stat stuff.
Okay.
That's what happens when you study theology all of your life.
So it's an 8 obstacle.
Yep.
Oh. Um. Can I fork other things?
I don't know what you got. If you want to add an intimidation or a lie in there, you could.
I suppose, but I don't know what to like. It's not supposed to be a lie.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
nothing
Exactly.
It's an argument.
You could add maybe 4 in doctrine if you want to.
Would he be receptive to that though?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. He he probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because you would probably claim some sort of thing like, well, this is how they did it back there, you know, over there, and he's like, well,
Yeah.
that's not our religion.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I pull out some snacks and fork cook.
Take some food. Be happy.
Can I fork aura reading?
I don't think so because you failed, right? Like,
well, that was to see whatever it was.
Okay, that's true. Make a linked test.
This is just as far as...
make a linked test with it.
Okay.
Ob 2. Sure. Yep.
Hey.
Yep. So basically, you just got a read on his exact mood with aura reading. So you can add a dice in there.
Oh wait. if it's what level is it for it to advance with just the challenge and not the difficult?
Yeah, let me look.
Because I have 3 routine and 1 challenge right now.
Yep, that's yep, advance. Yep, it
I
advances.
don't have
Yeah, it's you have to get the routine and either the difficult or the challenging. If you're below 5. So once you get to 5, then it's only you have to get both the difficult and challenging, and there aren't any more routines. So
nice. Okay. Level up.
cool.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and
I think that gives me exactly 8.
exactly 8. All right. You can dispense a persona if you want and add it to the roll. You have 5.
True. Yeah, I'll throw a persona in there.
Okay. And then you always have fate suspend as well at the end. So if you get some 6s.
8. Go. No, wait.
Oh. Oof. Oh, that was a bad
and roll. They were all 5s.
They were all 5s. Oh, that's a bummer.
Nothing with the 6.
That's a bummer, man. Yeah, so at the very least on that point, I think he points out, he's like, I'm going to go massacre an entire district. You really think that they're going to like me if I hand out food?
I mean, you could also avoid the massacre.
It's way too late for that. He says, as to the first point and the point you just made.
Yeah.
It's way too late to just hand out food and hope everything will be okay, and it's way too late for me to not massacre people.
All right. I guess you're stuck in your ways.
So I think we get like an interesting sort of like if this was Mistborn, which is obviously it's not, but if this was Mistborn, like you would be burning like you would be burning gold right now. So you're seeing a version of yourself from the, like if your life took a different turn. So we see this version of Sergio that is as hunched and weathered and dark looking as his brother, and is and like while Elon is like speaking to you and saying like, you know, it's way too late for that. Like the shadow of Sergio is doing the exact same hand motions and saying the exact same things except you can't hear his voice. And you realize that like, wow, this might have been what I was like if I stayed. Like I could have just become as cynical as this.
Except 20 years younger and better looking.
Well, yeah. Oh dear. That's funny.
Yeah. Huh. Does that literally happen?
I think it might, because with your aura reading.
Aura reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. Because I mean, it's technically a it's like an OB8 roll to see a character's past, like actually like for real. Like you can actually roll that for aura reading.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But like this is just kind of a different thing. It's like just it's a weird omen of like what would have happened, which isn't necessarily as important or powerful. So yeah, so you see that, and I'm assuming you just kind of like leave, then you're just like, all right, well, you're set in your ways. Okay. I mean, what's Sergio's plan next then?
I mean, I guess it's
just
deposing.
go with the same plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What do you tell Ipina then? Like. Oh, and do you actually talk to Ipina, because he did kind of just tell you stay away from her.
Oh yeah, true.
Like, how are you gonna do that?
I mean, I assume she's like waiting outside or whatever. I might like shoot her a mournful glance. And...
Oh no, yeah, she's nowhere near. Yeah, like she set up this meeting, but she's not there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, if I mean, I wouldn't like go out of my way to try and sneak around and
Hmm.
see her, but yeah,
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's what the
what would
plan
you like?
hinged on, right? Is to get her to bring him into a compromising situation by like claiming something bad was happening or something like that.
Oh, was it? I thought it was just so that I could see him. Okay,
No, that was your plan after the fact that you realized, oh, yeah, she can just get me into a meeting with this guy, or
true.
to my
Yeah,
brother. I can just try to reason with him. That failed. So, if you're trying to go back to the original plan, then
yeah, yeah.
you
Then
would
I'd
have
have
to
to
meet with
see
her
her.
again. But
Okay.
but yeah, you would have to figure out a way to do that without drawing attention, because it sounded very threatening when he said, "Don't see her again." So he might try something if he does catch you doing that.
Would the partner trick not work again?
Probably not, because I'm sure that she told him about that. Just in passing, like, "Oh yeah, Uncle Sergio was meeting with me, and like, he said that he had to like, do it in secret because you wouldn't let anyone near me, and he just wanted to talk to you, and she's being all innocent and stuff like that. But yeah, she definitely like kind of compromised that for you.
Mm.